Voces. Voices. Voces. Voices. Es una serie dedicada a destacar a mujeres de color, específicamente latinas, indígenas, afrolatinas y latinx. Esta serie colaborativa forma parte del 7º Festival Anual El Quijote.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Raleigh Museum, the City of Raleigh Museum, which has been in this building for some time. This was the Briggs hardware store, which, as you can imagine, must have been a pretty big hardware store. It was most famous for Christmas toys. People would line up outside to look at what was available, and I think this is probably where most of the kids shopped some time ago. My name is Barbara Friedman. I'm on the board of a nonprofit organization called Friends of the City of Raleigh Museum, and we do some fundraising for the museum, and we also do friend raising for the museum. We're very happy to have this program here tonight. We're happy because we're happy to have people in the building attending the program. That's what the museum wants to do. It's been a while since we've had a lot of programs. Today is All Saints' Day. Last night was All Hallows' Eve, Halloween. And last week we had our Day of the Dead tours. But tonight we're expanding the program a little bit with both a round table and a craft table discussion of what the Day of the Dead means to me. And I'm going to turn the program over to Raphael, who knows all about, and he will introduce some distinguished guests and introduce the program. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Raphael Suba. I'm the Artistic Director for Artist Studio Project and the El Quijote Festival, now celebrating our 7th year. And it's a pleasure for us to be here once again with the Core Museum and with the Friends of the Core Museum. Each year we come together to celebrate this wonderful cultural tradition of Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. We also celebrate All Saints Day, and then we've even done stuff with the Guatemala consulate to celebrate their ways of celebrating the Day of the Dead as well on All Saints Day, Dia de los Santos. And what I'd like to do is, we can't make this possible without the support of the Friends, and we want to thank them for all the support that they've done. So a round of applause. Also like to thank Ernest Dollar and Megan Raby. Megan is with us today. We also can't make this possible without the support of all of our lovely panelists, which I'll introduce in a little bit. And also, I want to give a special thanks and shout out to the artist who has helped us put these two events together, Leti Alvarez. So what I'd like to do is share a little bit of a context, give you a little bit of a history of these two wonderful days, that this lovely tradition, and then we'll go into the discussion. The discussion is more about what the Day of the Dead and All Saints Day means to each of the panelists. So it's more personal. We want to hear their voices. We want them to share their experiences and give us a little bit of insight as to how they go about celebrating this wonderful tradition. A little bit of context. All Saints Day is traditionally celebrated on November the 1st. The first All Saints Day was celebrated in Rome in May of 609 under Pope Boniface. So think about that. This has been going on for a very long time. All Saints Day is a public holiday in over 50 countries. I can list them, but I mean, there's over 50 countries that celebrate All Saints Day. To include Mexico, of course, Guatemala, Philippines, Portugal, Venezuela, France, Chile, a whole bunch. All Saints Day in Mexico falls on the same day as the beginning of the Day of the Dead, which honors infants and children who have passed on, who have died. Day of the Dead. The Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos in Spanish, is a holiday celebrated on the 1st and the 2nd of November. It originated and is most observed in Mexico, but also in other countries, especially by people of Mexican heritage elsewhere. Although associated with the Catholic celebrations of All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, it has much less solemn tone and is portrayed as a holiday of joyful celebration rather than mourning. That's what I am so attracted to this wonderful tradition, because of all the color, both the color of the big kites that they have in Guatemala, and these enormous kites with lots of color, and then of course all the wonderful color and music and celebration that they have in Mexico. I could go on and on and on and on, but I would just say that in 2008, the tradition was inscribed in the representative list of intangible cultural heritage and humanities by the UNESCO. All right? And so I would like to take this moment to introduce the panel and then our lovely moderator. And we'll start off with the moderator, Letty Alvarez, who's a local artist, visual artist, and who is also the artist that put together our altar, and she's participated in all of the years that we put together the altar. This year was a special altar because it was created with Letty and a large group of her friends that came together on 2 separate occasions to create a lot of the elements that you see on the altar there. And then she assembled it this Saturday, and we invite you to take a closer look. The altar is dedicated to women, women voices, and those that have passed on due to the pandemic. Okay? To my right here we have Cristina España, and she is the Vice Consulate of the Guatemala. We have Claudia Velasco Osorio, and she is the Consul General of Mexico in Raleigh. We also have Vicky Carrillo. She is an educator, and she also does the ballet folklorico of Vicky, and they teach children about Mexican culture and dance, and she participates with us each year in Dia de los Muertos. And then last, our good friend Adriana Ruiz, who is also an educator. She works with Wake County, and she also is one of the co-founders of Vicky Ballet Folklorico. So help me give them a warm greeting. I'll turn it over to Letty, who will start off with a general question for all of our panelists.
Hi, thank you all for coming tonight. Thank the Color Museum, because they usually close on Monday, so thank you all for opening tonight. I'm so honored to be here moderating this event with this wonderful woman that I truly admire and cherish that we're together in this. So our first question, this is about our own experiences. So my first question to you is, what is your earliest memory of this celebration? What do you remember when you were a child, or when is the earliest time? ¿Cuándo es cuando tú lo recordaste? Cuando eras pequeña. ¿Quieres empezar tú, Cristina?
Thank you. Is it on or no?
No.
Okay, now? Thank you. I think it will be around 9. So in Guatemala, we make a special dish that is called fiambre. And it has a lot of different vegetables and cold meats, and they also bring vegetables from other countries, and they just put everything there. But it's so much. My mom, one time, she did it for the first time. And my mom, she's not usually a great cook, but she did it that time for friends. And for the fiambre, you have to chop so many vegetables to do it. And she did it. And it was so much, and it was delicious. The only problem is that we had to eat it for the whole week. That was like our lunch, our dinner, everything. So I think that's when I think about the Day of All Saints, because in Guatemala, the Day of All Saints, I think about that fiambre that my mom did, and we had to eat so much, and then we had guests, and my mom was like, take some, like, please take some. But yes, in Guatemala, we'll talk about it, I know, later on, but it's about eating together as a family and eating this dish that is only made for the Day of All Saints. Like, you cannot find it in another time in Guatemala. And the great thing about it is that now here in Raleigh, you can find it now. And there's a restaurant in Durham that is called Chapin, and they have it every Day of All Saints. And there's also a big community here that they're starting to make their own, and there's one that is red and one that is white. But so if you're in Guatemala and you're around this time, fiambre is what you need to eat. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you. My earliest memory that I have is around 10. Of course, that you know, in Mexico is a huge day, and it's a special day because it's a happy day, a happy night, however you wish, say. And let me tell you, and I want to share with you that I love to eat bread. And in Mexico, we have a special bread for these days that we call pan de muerto, the bread of death, and is just a bowl, but it means with the bones. And of course, when I was a child, I like it to take the bones out and to eat, and I love it. Of course, it's a good tradition for everyone, and especially that you know in Mexico is a huge celebrity and tradition, and I am very honored to share with you this.
The bread that she has mentioned is delicious and is only made on that occasion, so we have to wait 1 year to get it back.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. I want to share with you something beautiful about my life, because I grew up with my grandma. So I see when I was a child, I remember my grandma to make a very small altar, because we are that big family and we don't have too much money. So I remember they put in the pictures, cempasúchil flowers and candles. And I remember she put in sometimes bread, but that's mean to save money for buy the bread or cook the bread. But I remember when I was a child to pray, to visit the cemetery. But when I growing and pass the time, my brother and my relative is growing too. We get more money, and they become that small altar to be ones. So later I remember who is gonna prepare the altar next year. Any year we try to put in more things. For example, someone's cooking special dishes the people usually want, or some people prepare the food not only for that person to honor it, it's for the rest of the people to stay together and to eat. After that, usually visit the cemetery and bring flour for the persons and clean the space, share time. Sometimes I remember I sleeping in the cemetery because we spent long time to stay there. They have a lot of memories. When I'm coming here to USA, I try to teach my kids what is a beautiful story about the Day of the Day. So now I see the beautiful things in Mexico, and I love it because I remember that it's very small altar we have it. Now I put it in my home, and I put in a lot of things, and I say my kids, oh, I remember how much is very small the altar at my home, but now they become the big one. So this is a beautiful memory, and I think my kids love too.
My experience is a little bit different because I was born and raised in California of Mexican parents. So I really didn't get to see all that folklore and the color and the food. And it wasn't until I went on vacation around this time to visit my grandparents in Guadalajara, and I saw everything. I said, wow, what is all these candles, the candy, the food? And I think that did it for me, the food, the hot chocolate, the tamales, the Day of the Dead bread, and listening to my grandmother tell me all the stories about why, you know, the picture was there of all the deceased loved ones. So it was very interesting, very colorful for me. I didn't see this growing up when I was little. My family, my parents, you know, it was all about Catholic school and all the Catholic traditions, but not the color, the smell, everything that I saw when I went to Mexico. It was just very eye-opening and beautiful, beautiful experience. So I try to do that with my kids here, try to expose them, try to teach them everything about it, and also my students to learn more about what Day of the Dead means.
Yeah, and for me it was also different because I was born in Monterrey, Mexico, in the north part of Mexico, very close to the border with the United States. So we really don't have the tradition to make the altar. So Rafael is gonna be like, what? But we really, in my house, I never saw my mom put an altar. What we did, it was, she would took all of us, we are 4 kids, so she would took us to the cemetery, and she bring all the things to clean the tomb. And in Mexico, is the way you say it, right, tombs? They're big, so you get the brooms and the cleaning things, and you clean. And I remember there was this big flower shop, and you buy flowers, and you put the flowers, and you stay and pray, and everybody talk a little bit in silence with our loved ones, and that was it. We went back home, and I never saw an altar until later on. I think I was a teenager, and my uncle, he was the youngest brother of my mom. He got married to a girl that was from a very small town in central Mexico, because I think the celebration is more in central Mexico and in the south. She was from a town, it's called Tanquian, and it was a very small town, and she was younger than my like 10 years younger than my uncle, so she was probably like 10 years older than me. And she used to do the altar. It was in her town. It was a big celebration that could last like a week. In a week, I think they started like on the 28th of October, decorating, and every day they add things to the altar, and every day has a different meaning. So she teaches all of that, and I learned that when I was like a teenager. And unfortunately, she passed away 2 months ago, and I'm dedicating the altar to her. So for our next question, it's not really a question, it's more like to share what we know about this. As Rafael was telling us, this celebration is very old. It's very old. Some people compare us with Halloween, and we're like, no, it's not Halloween. It's completely different. This has their origins probably with the Aztecs. You know, it's very, very old. So I would like if you can share, if you know a little bit about this, and tell us a little bit about how this celebration started in your country, or because in Guatemala it's different. Tell us a little bit whatever you know about this. Do you want to start? You want to start now, Adriana? You want to start now? Si tú sabes cuándo empezó esta tradición, algo de los orígenes.
I don't know exactly, because I see my grandma to celebrate, but like I told you, it's very simple. It's not too much colorful, but I remember when I was in the middle school, I think, in the middle school, I remember my teacher created like a competition who made it the most beautiful altar. And this is the time I really know about the altar, because this is my job to try to investigate about the altar. And I remember it's not like a Katrina too much, Now it's very different because it's more colorful and they make up. But I remember when I was in the middle school, it's more about emotions, about feelings. It's more about spiritual. It's more intimate, I think. But I exactly doesn't know. But I know the artist people, they become the tradition for more relative, more changing. But the origin about that is with the Aztec people, because the Aztec people have some tradition when Spanish people come to Mexico, both cultures, they mix it. And when they mix it, they become something new. It's like a dance folklore, it's the same thing. Some cultures, they come in and they mix it and they become modification.
Well, yes, this is a very, very ancient tradition, and of course, it began with the Aztecs. And let me tell you that I was posted in Bolivia 10 years ago, and it was a great surprise for me when they had also a huge celebration, and we can match both celebrations. And of course they begin with the Incas, and I saw that okay, this is in the whole continent that we celebrate, that we celebrate life, and of course we celebrate the dead, and it's not for scare us, it's for this celebration is to celebrate the people, our relatives, our loved ones that passed away before us, but they are very alive because we remember, and we have all the culture that we want to continue to be alive. And if we maintain our traditions, of course, it's better for everyone and for the future generations that we can share, and we say, don't be scared. And of course, it's not the same that Halloween is more emotional, more significant, more cultural, and of course, we have to continue working in our history, and this celebration is one of the biggest that we have to continue working in it.
Okay. So in Guatemala we have, I would say, two versions of the Day of All Saints. We have the city people, and what they'll do is to eat fiambre, when I told you. So that day we will do the same. We will go to the graves and clean everything and put flowers. And when I was little, it was they have these flowers in Guatemala that they're called dead flowers, and I don't understand how they work, but somehow if you cut them, they still look the same and they'll stay the same forever. So they'll put those on the graves, and then after that, all the family gets together and they'll eat fiambre. So that's the city. But then with the Mayas, they, in a place called Zumpango, they fly kites. So it comes from the Mayas, and I think what Vicky said is very true, because at the end it was a mixture, because you were saying it's from many, many, many years ago. But then the Mayas, they used to fly kites to tell the dead we're okay. The people that are alive were okay, and all of us were in peace. That's but it's very special because they start a year before. It is amazing what they do. And the kites, they can be as high as this ceiling. But the materials to make that kite, it's on the beach side, to put it like that, because they use bamboo, and there's no bamboo where they make the kites. So to go there, get the bamboo, and then go back, and then they make a big party, big celebration, because the bamboo is coming to the town. And then they'll have these places where they open the paper, because everything is with tissue paper. So they open it, and it's like a painting, but with tissue paper. And then they make their own glue, and it's just a whole process to do it, and that's the whole year. And then for the 1st of November, there's people that come all over the world because it takes your breath away because it's in a cemetery, but then they'll fly these gigantic kites, and you'll see like everything is with colors, and it is just amazing, and they have to have like 10 males to put that kite because it's so heavy, and then they can cut your fingers. But the most amazing part is that like the people from the city, we don't really know all the details from this, but I had a very good friend that Rafael did an interview to him, and he was explaining that after they do all of this for a year, they burn the kites at the end, and it's just amazing. So some people from the city or other parts will make the kites and they will put them as paintings because they are amazing and beautiful. But the people that really have the culture and they have the Mayan heritage, they will do the whole process and burn them.
That's part of the process. Yeah, like Vicky said, it is a mixture, and you can see with the Aztecs, they used to honor their skulls, and it was, their skulls, the real human skulls. And when the Spanish came, they did the altar, and then they introduced the cross and all the other religious motives in the altar that now you can see. So it's very interesting how the two cultures came together, and it's very, very good choice. So the next question, I think is kind of the same. How does you come to celebrate the Day of the Dead? It's kind of the same. Let's go to another one. Okay, this question is: do you celebrate it with your family still in here? Who wants to start?
Well, I'm still learning a lot about the festival, the day that we celebrate today. So I'm learning everything, all the symbolisms. I want to get everything correct. Why do we put the flowers? What is the meaning of the papel picado? What is the meaning of the salt and the water? Everything has a meaning. So for me, it's important that my family also learns all those symbolisms, the whys of why we celebrate it. So I started putting pictures of my deceased loved ones, which I hadn't seen it in my immediate family, but with my grandparents in Mexico, I would see it with my relatives. So here, it started to become more mainstream, of course, after the movie and all the publicity that this has become so popular and well-known. I started talking to my kids about it. My son, my daughters, they had questions and they were curious, and what should we do? What are we going to eat today? They were talking about the bread and the hot chocolate. Are we going to make tamales? So I started to incorporate it with my own family, seeing that it's such an important tradition in my culture and our culture in Mexico, that is just amazing how we're celebrating death. It's something that we need to honor our deceased loved ones, and that day is special. We're going to bring them their food and their special drinks and honor their lives, what they contributed. So I think with my own family, we started to build up this tradition more and more, not just let's dress up and have fun, but I think they're appreciating the meaning behind it, and I think that's very, very important. So.
For my family is one of the one tradition can I bring with my family. When I decide to live in USA, I decide to bring some opportunities for my kids. One is the culture, is about the dancing folklore. This is the reason I create the dancing folklore for my kids. But another is the independence from Mexico with my friends. And the Day of the Day is a beautiful moment because my kids, they need to create some connection with his relative in Mexico. So I decided to celebrate here and explain my kid what does that mean? What is too much important? No, it's about the makeup, it's about the emotions. And to remember the people, they was our ancestors, they was before us. And what I learning about my grandma, I pass for my kids, and I want when they have the families, they transmit the same culture I teach my kids. So we celebrate with some friends, and they come to my house. I prepare the altar and share the bread and cook the hot chocolate. I love it. My kids love it too. And for the pandemic, we took the time only with the family, but it's a beautiful moment to share time with the friends and families too. My kids love it. So not to make up, they're a little more child than me, but they love to see the altar. The last week, my daughter's coming and made us the time because she's in college and she's busy, but she made the time to come with me to prepare the altar with me. And they say, Mommy, I can be here at the special day, but I can stay with you to prepare the altar. So that's me, we celebrate with my family, and I love this moment because it's time to share with my family and with my friends too.
Yeah, well, at home we have an altar for my grandmom, and we put some flowers like this that we call cempasúchil. Of course, we have to use our imagination that is a cempasúchil flower, and we put the food that they like it, like of course tamales, mole, pozole, and of course the drink. For us is very important to have a glass of water, and of course the alcohol, tequila, a bottle of tequila or a beer, and you can put it in. And of course another thing that they like it, maybe a candy or a fruit, you put in the altar and you honor them, and of course you have to put the candles, just a little salt or sugar. It depends. That, of course the cupcake. Yes, and but at the consulate, of course, we continue with this tradition, and we have today we have 3 huge altars, and we invite an organization and a friend of us to put the altars there, and because it's important for express ourselves in this occasion. And we a lot of people that visit the consulate, we almost received 2,000 people per day, and they are looking and they to take pictures, and they like it, the altars at the consulate. It's important.
Thank you. I eat fiambre. I've been talking about fiambre all night.
Do you know how to cook it?
No, it's very complicated. And then last year we built a kite, a giant kite with my family with the consulate. But I have to be honest with 2 things. The first one is that I'm completely afraid of death. Like it's really hard for me to talk about it. So we don't do anything around that in my house. I have to be honest. And then I have 2 little girls. One is 6 and the other one will be 8 next Saturday. So they're teaching me Halloween. And I'm also an artist, so I love the fantasy and I love the costumes. And I think it's the only time, we were talking with my husband, it's the only time when neighbors can meet. We're used in Guatemala and to know our neighbors, and it's very common to be friends, all the kids play together. Here, it's just to say good morning and that's it. Like, that's kind of strange for us. So it feels like it becomes a Latino place on Halloween, to put it like that, because everybody's celebrating, everybody's loud, everybody's colorful, everybody's happy, and they are talking to each other and they're sharing food, candy. But so I think as Latinos here, we have the opportunity of creating our own versions. And I'm hopeful that I will not be afraid of that when I'm a few years from now, and then maybe I can introduce more in this time. But now we're just doing the colors and the happy.
I think everybody's afraid of that. But when we look like this, I mean, it's not that scary because it's, I don't know, it's a different perspective. But, and I was thinking when you say that nobody goes out, well, then the pandemic is not helping, you know, to go out and be friends with your neighbor. And that goes to our next question, that do you think the pandemic, has given a new meaning to this cultural tradition? Do you think the pandemic has changed something for this tradition? Anyone wants to answer that? Do you want to answer?
Well, of course, the pandemic changed life and the death, of course. Unfortunately, many people lost loved ones, and unexpectedly, because when the pandemic started, nobody knows what's going on, how long will take it, maybe 2 weeks, 1 month, but I'm pretty sure that we never think that it's going to be more than a year, or now we don't know exactly when it's going to finish. And of course it changed everything, but we have to be resilient and continue our lives, and of course to celebrate our people that pass away is that I said is a beautiful thing that we can share with our families and with our neighbors and with the community, because when the people pass away, is not the end, it's a new beginning, it's a different beginning. And of course we have to continue living and to continue with our life. And of course we are going to miss a lot our relatives that pass away, but they are going always to be in our mind, living very close in our homes, or if maybe it's a friend, and you are going to remember them all the time. But of course the pandemic changed everything, all the lives.
You want to say something else, Sophie?
Yeah, same thing I echo with the pandemic. Who would have thought, who would have thought all these deaths? And I think it just shows us that we have to love our family, our friends, and, take every day, enjoy every moment, and celebrate it, and think of everybody that is not here anymore, that lost a loved one, and just keep praying and honoring them, because who would have thought this pandemic was going to take so many lives, innocent lives. And I think just day by day we just have to be, loving each other. I think that's the most important thing, just from now on, just loving each other and, just keep praying for the best.
There is also said that this celebration of the Day of the Dead is linked to the monarch butterfly migration. So I don't know if any of you wants to comment about this. Does anyone know something about it?
I was just going to say Miss Vicky loves butterflies, so.
I don't know. I remember when I was a child, my mom loved the butterflies. So she's singing the song about the butterfly when I was a child. I think this is the reason I love it. But I think every time when I see the butterfly, I think it's the spirit for somebody. I don't know why, because when I was for example, I remember one day I was working with the kid in the school, Everybody is playing, it's nothing around, doesn't have any flower, it's just the trees, and the kids playing. And when suddenly I see the butterfly, and my kids told me, Señora, Señora, look at the butterflies. And I say, oh, follow her. Everybody's looking then, and everybody asks me, Señora, what is the butterfly here? Looking around, it's nobody around here. And I say, I don't know. But inside me, I'm thinking, maybe it's somebody. Maybe it's the spirit for someone. But what is my answer for my kid? I said, it's the time for migration. The butterflies migration. Maybe it's coming for Canada. And I say, maybe this is the different generation stay here. And that's one dream for me, is to be in Mexico, in Michoacan, because in Michoacan is the place that butterflies migration. So they, in a specific display, everybody is thinking the butterfly is the spirits of the people that come to this place. And why? Because it's specific, the most interesting thing and very mystery is they come in exactly the time, this moment. That's the reason the people thinking that. But in my opinion, I think and I believe that's the spirit. Sometimes when I feel very sad and I see the butterfly, I say, oh, this is my mom to come with me. Maybe it's not true, but I want to think that's the truth.
Exactly that Vicky said. The butterflies arrived to the state of Michoacan, at the center of the country, and in this time, in November, at the beginning of the November, and the cempasúchil flowers do the smells. It attracts the butterflies. And of course, it's almost the same color, no? Orange.
Yes.
It's almost, and we think it's a good combination that of course the migration to maybe to the other life, and of course to the migration for another time and another customs that we have to continue to empower all the community with this. It's a very good combination when the butterflies arrive to Michoacan.
Very, very good explanation. And so as we have talked about the altars, the altars have some levels. So I don't know if you know, some people said that they should have like 7 levels, others say 3 levels. I don't know if you know something about this. You want to share? Vicky, you're the expert in the altars.
I don't know how to say in English.
Dilo en español y yo te ayudo.
Yo tengo el conocimiento que los 7 escalones que hay, los 7 niveles en el altar, están relacionados con los 7 pecados.
She said that the seven steps for the altars are related to the 7 sins in the religion.
Otra razón dicen que está relacionado con como los periodos o etapas después de la vida.
They say other people believe that the 7 steps can be the steps of the afterlife, the steps that you have to take in the afterlife.
Yo cuando realizaba los altares en la escuela, no estoy muy segura de la información porque fue hace mucho tiempo, pero yo recuerdo que en el primer nivel ponías, dependiendo el tiempo que tenía la persona de haber fallecido, era el nivel que ponías en la fotografía de la persona.
She said that she remembers when she was little, they explained to them that it depending on the how old was the people, that's where you place the picture, the photograph. Like if he was very young, you put it at the first step. If he was older, then you move it up.
También sé que hay un lugar específico en donde ponen las cenizas del incienso que representa que en polvo nos convertimos. Entonces pones una cruz de ceniza para ahuyentar los malos espíritus y representa la transformación, ¿no?, del polvo. Y la cruz de sal que pones representa precisamente el alejar los espíritus negativos cuando tú pones el altar.
And she said that there's two crosses. One is made with ashes, and is that for remembering that we're all gonna go, we're all gonna die. And then another cross is made with salt, and that is to avoid, evil spirits. So only good spirit.
Yes. Precisamente por eso es difícil para mí recordar en qué nivel de los escalones van estos símbolos, y tanto como el agua, que son el copal y el incienso. Todos ellos representan una etapa en la vida después de la muerte.
Yeah, she said that this element, the salt and the copal and the ashes, she doesn't know exactly which level, because all represent something in the life of the people that passed away.
Eso es lo que yo tengo entendido.
And I know that there's the four elements, the fire, the wind, the earth, and the water. Those elements, they are represented in the altar. So for the wind, you have el papel picado that is moving, and then you have to put water, because it's believed that the dead are coming tired from their trip, so they have to have something to refresh themselves. And then there has to be fires, so you put candles. And for the earth, you put food. You provide something that your loved one used to like, you put fruit, you put something symbolizing the earth. So the four elements have to be in the altar. And we're missing something? Yes.
No, ya es todo, ¿no? ¿Algo más?
Well, this question was for you, for the Guatemala. It was about the kites, but you already shared with us the tradition and the symbolism of the kites, right? So.
I can share something else.
Sure, go ahead, please.
I just want to share that when we did the kite, you can never imagine how difficult it is. Because I was looking at this and I said, I'm going to use it as an example. So every color you see in there will have to be like a little piece of tissue paper. So when you're working and you're like laying down and putting all the little pieces, you do a little piece and then you go back, and it was just a little tiny part of the kite. It is such a hard work to do that. And then something that I experienced when I was making the kite is that the tissue paper has its own quality. It can be very strong because it can fly and it will not break. It can be very malleable, like you can move it with the glue, and then you just do a little bit like that and then it will go with you. Like it is a material that is very gentle, but if you're rough with it, it will break really easy. And then I just thought about the community, and about the Latino community, and about the indigenous community. And I said, this is so interesting because they use this material, and I feel like they are like this too, because they are very malleable, they're very soft, but they're also very, and maybe all humans are like that, maybe we are like that too. We can break very easily if they're rough with us, and we can be very strong and we can fly. So I just wanted to share that too, because it was very interesting to work with the tissue paper and the glue.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. You know, the metaphor, how you say, is beautiful. I think are we running out of time? Okay, well, for the last thing, something that is very important for the Day of the Dead are the Catrinas. So I don't know if any of you want to say something about the Catrinas?
The Catrina, I don't know too much about the history of the Catrina. I know there's a whole story behind it of the aristocracy in Mexico and how she became to be all fancy and elegant, and there was this whole story behind it. But throughout the years, I just saw how beautiful she has become and what her message is, the way her makeup is, and even though, she's, fragile and everything, she still wanted to look beautiful and luxurious. So I see more Catrinas more and more. I mean, I was just talking to Rafael, seeing the Catrinas in New York City outside of Rockefeller Center, how they're traveling the world, and it's become such a staple, and it's such a beautiful part of our history, seeing her outfits and, all the colorful dresses that she wears and how she's just portrayed in different paintings and everything. So I just think she's just beautiful. I don't know too much of the story, but I just think she's been just fascinating to me.
Ajá. Yo cuando la gente me pregunta de la Catrina, siempre digo que la Catrina es una burla. Es la burla del mexicano que pretende ser quien no es. Entonces se viste de pluma, de gala, y no deja de ser el mexicano que es, pero la influencia de los europeos, pues tratábamos de vernos como ellos, ¿no? Entonces para mí la Catrina no es nomás que una burla a la muerte.
Yeah, Vicky says that the Catrina is like they're mocking the dead and they're trying to pretend something that they're not, like Mexicans trying to look European and wear the feathers in the hat and, fancy jewelry and things like that, just to pretend that they're something that they're not. So it's like they're mocking, it's like they're,
Yeah. Pero es muy bonito mirarla, admirarla y reírse de lo que uno no es.
yeah, it's funny to look and see and laugh of something that you're not.
Y encontrar la parte divertida, admirar la cultura y ver cómo ha cambiado con el paso de los años y tomarle las cosas positivas.
See how the culture has changed in the years and just have fun with that. Well, I don't know if anyone else have questions for our panelists. If you have a question, please, now is the time.
So
Yes.
do you think the Day of the Dead is going to have an North American version, just like Spanish and Aztec kind of merged and developed new traditions? Will there be a North American?
Well, I'm going to take that one. I think it's already here, and I think the movie Coco give a huge push to that and it's really a good movie. It really shows the tradition. I think they did a good job. I think they did the research, and I think you can see it now. You can go any store. You can go to Target, and there's a special ad for the Day of the Dead, and it's probably also because we are getting more Spanish-speaking population that celebrate that tradition. So I think that's why it's getting a little bit more force. So I think it's already here, and I think it's here for stay. So it's going to probably change. It's going to probably evolve and something a little more American. I don't know, but I think it's here. Yes.
So that was going to be my question: is how does everybody feel now that Dia de los Muertos is so popular and you can find things to do in alternate at Target or Walmart? Do you think that it's going to lose that special connection, emotional connection that a lot of Latinos have with Dia de los Muertos now that it's becoming something that's so popular and everybody's doing it, even if they're not Latino, even if they're not Mexican?
Mm-hmm.
Well, being Mexican American as well, seeing the boom and how it's become so mainstream, I'm enjoying it. I'm taking it for the ride because I think I'm learning so much and I'm passing that along to my children. As long as we keep the message as well that we want to see death as something beautiful and we want to honor our loved ones, I don't see anything wrong with it being so popular. maybe other people might think different from me, but I'm embracing it. I think it's great that it's become, you know, more well-known, and across the board in different countries are adopting it. I see non-Latinos celebrating it, putting their altars up, and I'm fascinated. So I think it's great. I really enjoy it.
Yes, I see the date of the Night of the Dead each year is more popular, and of course the Latinos, we feel more proud of this tradition because it's a huge tradition. As that you said, sometimes the people confuse Halloween because Halloween is also more popular in our countries. But here in the US, I saw that not only the Latino community, the whole community, the Anglo community, all the community is more aware of this tradition, and they want to learn more about it. And this is nice. This is a good thing for us because we really feel very proud of these important days, because that Rafael said at the beginning, it's not only one day, it's 2 days. The first and the second. And the first, we remember the little ones that pass away, and a lot of people also remember the pets that pass away. But tomorrow is the huge day for everyone.
And I just want to add that for Guatemala, it's a very serious day. It's not, when we're together and we're eating fiambre, you're gonna eat fiambre one day. We're happy because we're in a family, but the whole commemoration, it is not a celebration. So for Guatemala, having your tradition, I think it's not only for United States, but I think for other countries, we're learning to see that in a new way. And I admire very much because the Mexicans they celebrate so well, and your culture is amazing. And I think what you were saying, it's happening not only in the US, I think it's happening everywhere. And I think we should all not be afraid of that, and maybe Mexico is helping us to not be afraid and be happy and say, okay, that's something else after life. Thank you.
Yes.
First of all, I want to say thank you for sharing. And second, I think that you all say it, that what we want to do, or what we have been doing with the Dia de los Muertos, is paying back. It's el pagamento. We recall, we remember, we celebrate our ancestors because they are in front of us. We pay our respects to them. We stop these crazy lives we have on speed. We stop to remember, to say thank you, and to say thank you how? With the simple things. With flowers that come at the end of the cycle of life, of the year. With the returning spirits, right? The butterflies that connects us to the cosmos. And I think that's what we have to try to celebrate and share with our communities, is that we have to pay back. That we are in this life extracting all the time, and suddenly it's a moment to pay back. You are women, you are mothers, you know how hard it is. And taking one moment to pay back, to remember those that departed, our mothers, our fathers, that put us in front what is important. That is, we are all equal. That doesn't matter the color we have. If you go to the top and you are the same Katrina or Katrino, it's the equalizer. It's the final equalizer in which there is no difference. That's why we want to celebrate it big as we do it. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
I just want to say thank you for your vulnerability in sharing these personal things, because we're in the United States and all these cultures are here. And I find that as I learn more about cultures different from mine, I have not only a more appreciation for where I come from, but from what other people are. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you also to the Core Museum because they started opening this 5 years ago, and I remember 5 years ago when I was talking to Dollar Ernst and we were getting all together with this, he started receiving emails and phone calls of people angry that they didn't want to have that they didn't want to see this tradition and why we were honoring the dead and I don't know, I think they didn't knew what this was about. I mean, they didn't knew, and some people are afraid of things that they don't know. And then as time has been going, more and more people are coming to see this. And the year before the pandemic, this was huge. There was not a place to come in. I mean, everybody was here, and it was great. So I think it really helps that these spaces open, you know, they're places to come, to people to make an altar and to welcome things for us, that we do all this. I mean, it's just for the love of our country and our traditions that we do all this, because it's really important for us to share this celebration with everybody.
I want to thank our wonderful artist and our moderator for this evening. I also would like to thank Cristina, the Vice Consul, Raleigh, the General Consul of Mexico, the wonderful artist friend, Vicky Carrillo and Adriana Ruiz for coming and sharing their wonderful stories. Thanks again to Megan Raby, Ernest Dollar, the Friends of the Core, and everyone that was here today. Thank you so much. We hope to see you on Friday.